So this is the new Porsche Cayenne. It's a car to annoy the purists perhaps, but it's been a smash hit for Porsche. In fact, they've sold more in just over 20 years than it has the 911 in nearly 60. What's new? Well, the styling's new, it's got a brand new interior, and the engines are also tweaked a little bit. But fundamentally, this is the same car that they launched in 2017. Let me show you around.
Now let's start with the exterior, which as you'll see looks very similar to the outgoing models, but with a blockier aesthetic and a more aggressive design. Those new headlights don't just look new, but they also feature sleek new technology. These are a massive step forward over the previous Matrix units by having much more precise control of the light spread, and they function on full beam whilst keeping cars, cyclists and pedestrians from being dazzled. The rear end looks even more familiar, but the new light bar is now more three-dimensional, and Porsche has moved the number plate down onto the lower bumper as it first did with the K and Coupe. Speaking of which, the Coupe will launch alongside the traditional SUV you see here, with all the same changes. Under the bonnet, Porsche has streamlined the engine range, opening with an updated version of the turbocharged 3-litre V6 petrol, producing a marginally higher 348 brake horsepower. Yet the new Cayenne S has ditched the previous twin-turbocharged 2.9 V6 for a twin-turbocharged 4-litre V8, raising power from 427 brake horsepower to 467 brake horsepower in the process. This is the first time a Cayenne S has featured a V8 since it switched to a V6 back in 2014, but it has come at the expense of the standard Cayenne Turbo, which has been dropped from the range entirely. A flagship Turbo GT Coupe will still be available in overseas markets, but due to tightening emissions regs, it just wasn't feasible for the UK or Europe. To compensate, a new V8-powered GTS will eventually return. As for hybrid options, an updated e-hybrid model pairs the same 3-litre V6 petrol engine with the larger 25.4 kWh battery pack and a marginally more powerful e-motor to create a combined total of 463 brake horsepower. It's also got a longer all-electric range, which is now up to around 50 miles. There will be a future range-topping Turbo SE hybrid, but Porsche is remaining tight-lipped about its new powerhouse flagship for now.
Now the biggest changes are actually in here. The dashboard is completely new, and its design has been inspired by the Taycan electric car. We've got a 12.3-inch touchscreen, which is from before, but that now joins a new curved instrument panel and a passenger display as well, which is optional. The center console is brand new. As you can see, they've moved the gear selector up here onto the dashboard, leaving space for a new combination of touch and physical controls for the air conditioning and a volume knob. Generally speaking though, the interior is fantastic. It's super high quality, the materials are super luscious, and it feels really expensive, which is exactly what Porsche want for their customers.
As for the chassis, Porsche has updated the air suspension setup to now include trick dual-valve adaptive dampers that it says improves ride quality without compromising on body control. Speaking to the new Cayenne's project lead, all Cayennes have something of an unenviable job of needing the widest spread of capability of any Porsche, something these new dampers have helped engineers achieve. The rest of the Cayenne chassis is otherwise as it was before, and depending on how much you're willing to spend, you have the option to add some pretty high-end hardware like active anti-roll bars, rear-wheel steering, or even a torque-vectoring rear differential to the package. The new Cayenne will be priced from £67,400 for the base model, £76,800 for the hybrid, and £80,800 for the S, with a coupe costing a further £2,900 model for model. Anxious customers will be able to get their hands on the new Cayenne in the third quarter of this year, with more info on the GTS and range-topping Turbo SE hybrid still to come.